Welcome back to another post-commentary tournament video. Today I'll be commentating on a semi-final game between Frenzy and I in the ESL Monthly Finals. I'm on Telvanni conscription again, deck was shown on the right, Frenzy's on an aggro Hlaalu shown below. You will note that his deck is more attacked against control, as his first round opponent was Michaela. Instead of defensive cards such as Rift Thane, Bruma Profiteer, Hive Defender, Cloud Rest Illusionist, he has put in cards such as Bannerman, Saber Cat, and even Swift Strike for better late game and reach. This should make him better against pretty reactive controlled decks such as Telvanni Conscription, but it makes his deck slightly slower and allows me to get to Conscription and I can win from there. I chose this game because it was a good game, apart from somewhere in the middle where it kind of crumbled. However, I think there are important lessons from this game, not only in terms of gameplay, but tournament play as well. Alright, let's jump into the mulligan. Frenzy's going first, so I have the ring. Frenzy's hand's looking not too bad, but personally I would pitch the Firebrand and Brawler, which decides not to. I have Skulk, Messenger, and Hiking Emmerich. Skulk on turn 1 is definitely a game-winning play. I've left unanswered, and I have Black Hand to support the Skulk. Hiking is a little too late, especially since I'm probably using 2 ring charges in the beginning, so I just pitched the Emmerich. So I start out with turn 1 Skulk. I choose the Shadow Lane because he has no early guards, no early answers to Skulk other than 5th Legion or Orc Clan Captain plus Firebrand, and I do want to guarantee this Fire Bloom, and I do have the Black Hand to protect it. The Skulk is at least going off once. Now Frenzy here can Mournhold to contest this, but Mournhold doesn't contest this because I'm simply just going to play a minion and Fire Bloom it. I will be happy, even if it's a Wardcraft or a Daggerfall minion. Here this Frenzy's best play is probably to Firebrand and Serum Pawnbroker. This way it makes the Fire Bloom awkward and as well as contesting the Skulk. Now he doesn't attack with the Firebrand here to keep it in shadow, and this makes the Fire Bloom 50-50 to hit the Serum Pawnbroker. However, I have the Black Hand here, so I can just guarantee the hit on the Pawnbroker as well as protecting the Skulk. Now Black Hand going Shadow Lane, that doesn't really matter, I'm just going to Fire Bloom this. Of course it sucks, I'm gonna have to give him a card. Pawnbroker, give him a Vardvarks. Vardvarks, interestingly enough, is very good here because it blocks the Fire Bloom on his Trader, which is gonna contest the Skulk. So Frenzy can use the Shadow Shift here, but I think he values the utility in Shadow Shift because Shadow Shift against decks that use minions as defensive tools makes them have awkward scenarios where you can just trap minions in a certain lane. So I take the Fire Bloom despite giving him a card. Fire Bloom is just insane tempo for me. So here I decide not to Black Hand Bardvark and take the 50-50 Fire Bloom. I just develop a Sly Marshblade on the right. It's very magical and efficient, but I think I have time. I'm 34 life, I still have a ring charge, and I have a Fire Bloom in case I need tempo. So interestingly enough, I think he's gonna take the Brawler here. Yeah, he takes the Brawler, and just quite a good turn for him. So again, I have an awkward turn. I don't really have a magical efficient play. Black Hand doesn't do too much, so I'm probably just gonna take the trade while I can, and develop a Sly Marshblade to contest the Mournhold Trader. There's also consideration to Sly Marshblade left, so I take the field lane, and then I can Telvanni on the right lane. However, if he does Shadow Shift, he can take the favorable trade, and I can't really punish a 1 health Mournhold, because Black Hand is still very slow. I guess I have the Hiking to punish it. Now let's look at Frenzy's hand. He has a pretty good turn. He can Shadow Shift and double 2, or he can develop Manor and Mournhold. However, if he develops Manor and Mournhold, I wouldn't be sad just Shadow Fenning the Manor and passing. So here he decides to go for the power play, which is Shadow Shift, Mournhold, and Puppeteer. Now this is a very strong play, but this is a very mid-rangey setup, and so Telvanni here is amazing. It will eat at least 4 damage if he decides to go all in face, or it will eat 2 of his minions, which is insane. And this is the power of Telvanni. And this card pretty much wins against mid-range strategies, and he has drawn a very mid-rangey hand. I need to kill the Vardvarks because they're just very annoying. They're just blocking my Fire Bloom, and I don't want to. If I can avoid the RNG, I would like to avoid the RNG. Now Frenzy's hand is quite awkward. He's going to assault first, probably assault first, because as not much good play. Like he can Vigilante, but it doesn't do too much. So he needs to pop the ward before Crusader assaulting, and yeah, and he can go from there. As for me, my next play, I have a pretty flexible and Magicka efficient turn. I can either Emmerich or Blackhand Dark Guardian, depending on his play. I also have Fire Bloom if I need it as well. So he decides to. So you break the ward before assaulting. That way you can get the full assault synergy, because the ward would pop the pilfer effect. Now he draws assault. That makes his Vardvark very useful, and he can assault again. So Vardvark's doing a lot of work this game, and yeah, Pawnbroker is a pretty good card. Obviously, this gives me time to do my own thing. So now I can Schemer Fire Bloom. I can Scout Report Schemer. So Schemer Fire Bloom Scout Report. However, I think I can take this turn to develop slowly as well, and I can just Blackhand and Dark Guardian. Now, Blackhand will go into the Shadow lane because I don't want this to get eaten for free. So, and I want Dark Guardian to take over the field. I could also, Emmerich doesn't do too much, but if I play Emmerich here, it does allow me to have a 3 and 4 next turn. However, next turn I can do 1 and 6, so I stay Magicka efficient. Obviously, this gets punished kind of by Clan Captain. However, I do have a 2-1 to trade into his minion. Now, if I was in Frenzy's position, I don't play much Hlaalu, but if I was in Frenzy's position, I do think he'd take this slow and develop Haunted Manor, but I guess he's respecting the Shadowfen, so he wants instant mana trigger and he wants to out-tempo me when he gets to Manor. So here he just probably gonna start with a Shadow Shift because his hand is very awkward. You can Shadow Shift, even drop double Manor, and you wouldn't be too sad, but however I can start hitting face. I do not hit for the 3 because the Blackhand's gonna give him a card, but quite frankly at this point, giving him cards wouldn't be too bad. I don't really have an aggressive hand, but I do have Emmerich to smash him in the face. And Emmerich's very hard for Hlaalu to deal with. Hlaalu's weakness is that it can't really defend itself, especially Frenzy's version, without Brawlers or without Hive Defenders or Rumas or Rifthanes. So I can actually start going aggressive on him. However, my playstyle is I really don't like to go face against any deck unless my hand supports it. I do have some kind of resource extension with Schemer and Scout Report. However, I decide to take it a little slow, and I can always decide to go face once I've developed a board. So yeah, Frenzy starts with the Shadow Shift. Interestingly enough, he decides not to trade with the Slime Marshblade, and if he trades with the Slime Marshblade, he can deny my draw. Now, this is the turn I'm going to point out something that happens in tournaments, which is running out of time. So Frenzy timed out there and couldn't develop the Manor. It's not really a misplay, but this is where I want to touch about tournament gameplay. Now in tournaments, it's different than like your standard ladder. Like there's a lot more pressure because there's actually something on the line. There's endurance involved. Frenzy just finished his semi-finals match and I had a game to rest. He could have more adrenaline than me because once you start finding your rhythm, you start playing better and you kind of get into the mood. However, I was on a 2-win streak, so I kind of have the momentum here and I was feeling quite confident with my Telvanni conscription. So the previous turn, I just High King Emmerich to do the 2 damage. I start smashing face for 3. I could even smash the 2 in, but because he does have no prophecy, so I wouldn't really mind. Now Frenzy's in a pretty bad turn. He develops the Manor and the Kitty. If he had developed the Manor last turn, he could have developed the Clan Captain and the Kitty. So here I trade in with the Sly Marshblade to draw. This gives me a very good turn. I can smash for 5, leaving him at 16. I should have smacked for another 2. I missed out 4 damage of the curse of 2 turns. And yeah, 2 and 6, and I'm starting to pressure him. So this is where you need to be flexible with your game plan against Hlaalu. Hlaalu has a lot of resources, but they cannot defend themselves. If you force them to defend themselves, they have to use a lot of resources awkwardly. And I spam the Shadow Lane because it makes favorable trades, but these could go field. But I don't know. Like, I think ensuring this 8 damage, because Hlaalu doesn't have many ways to actually defend themselves. I guess he has Vigilante to open up the Shadow Lane, so I could have stuck them field in order to protect them. And at this point, Frenzy is looking very sad. He needs to play defensively. His hand is all reach. Vigilante is not good for defending yourself, except opening up the Shadow Lane, but she doesn't really trade well, and you're not very happy about that. Frenzy's hand is awkward. Can't really activate the Pit Lion. Can't really shift into the field lane. Can't really go face. He needs to protect himself. I think Clan Captain here and probably Vigilante. Yeah, which is what he does. He does the Firebrand. I think he should have Firebranded first, because the 3/3s isn't doing too much actually. And open up the Vigilante. He should have buffed the Clan Captain. The correct ordering there was Firebrand first to pop the ward. Then you Vigilante. Then your Firebrand pops the Emmerich ward. Your Vigilante eats the Emmerich, and your Kitty eats the Black Hand and the Sly Marshblade. That way, he knows I have a Fire Bloom. Fire Bloom's only good with minions such as Black Hand, so he slightly misordered. Yeah, I am pretty happy. I'm not sad about this board state. So he draws a card. He also could have drawn first, but I guess, yeah, slight misplay. He doesn't decide to use the makeshift. Oh, he does decide to use the makeshift defense here. So here I'm gonna go slightly aggressive. I'm close to lethal. I draw first. I don't need Ungulum at this point. Just a 1/1. I mean, it's Fire Bloom fodder, but I don't really need it. Mandora Mastermind on the hand is a very nice draw. So, because I'm going to play 3 into 4, I have the ability to Scout Report again. Necromancer is quite good. It's 2 reach along with removal. Reach comes in the form of Black Hand, so I smack for 2. I'm not scared of Prophecies because his deck doesn't run Prophecies, so if you're looking at my attack order, it's a little awkward. That's why I do those things. So I Black Hand the Guard, and I Fire Bloom. It's slightly Magicka inefficient, but oh yeah, I Blacken the Clan Captain, so I can just trade into the makeshift defense without popping the ward. And here I do decide to Fire Bloom. It sucks I do give him a card, and I do hit the right target. Kind of lucky, but at the same time, with looking at Frenzy's hand, it doesn't really matter in the end. Also, if Frenzy had drawn first, he could also get the makeshift defense into a 2/4. So he slightly misplayed there, but obviously it's tournament nerves as well as fatigue. He's played around. This is his 9th game in a row, so he's actually quite tired at this point. Oh, maybe his 8th game because he actually re-won Michaela. But yeah. Now Frenzy's Swift Strike got punished. Like, it's for control, but if he's at this point, it's quite useless, and I'm pretty happy. I have Shadowfen Priest, but I decide not to use it here because I'd rather have it go through a Mint Guard. Obviously, I should draw first. But at this point, it's kind of irrelevant. I should hit him and I should draw first. In case I drew a shackle. The shackle will be more burst. Now Frenzy's an Oathman, and if he doesn't draw Oathman Shadow Shift, he doesn't draw anything useful, he can concede here. Now he gets another draw, so keep drawing until you find it out. But he wants a brawler here, and the buff goes on the East March, so he's very sad about this. And yeah, Frenzy concedes. So a few closing notes to wrap the video up. First I want to talk about is having a flexible game plan. So you saw in the matchup I was a control player, but since Frenzy was never running out of cards and I had a big board, I could afford to go face. Especially since I was a reaching conscription turn and I had a lot of draw in my hand, I was pretty certain I was going to get conscription relatively soon. Also, Hlaalu is a very resource heavy deck, but they can't defend themselves. So knowing that, I just pushed face, especially since I had a huge board and Frenzy's hand was just full of value such as double mana. I was never going to outgrind that. And now the second thing is about tournament gameplay. The first thing this match shows is deckless, especially Frenzy. So Frenzy's tech is deck more against control, and you can do that in tournament play. That allows, I would say, good creative deck building because you can target specific matchups. And as for mine is very dedicated control, but it sucks on ladder because you just run into greed that you cannot control or outgrind because of cards like Drain Vitality. Then the second point about tournament gameplay is fatigue. Now, you don't really see fatigue, but fatigue is a real thing. At that stage, Frenzy's probably played 8 or 9 games. I think his series against Michaela went 3-1 if I'm not mistaken. So he was quite tired at that point. He played my series right after his series. I had a 1 series break and I got to enjoy Frenzy's games. However, I have an issue with adrenaline. So after I beat a player, I tend to get pumped full of adrenaline and I just want to keep playing. However, after a break, I kind of just get really tired and lose my focus, and that's shown when I lost game 1. However, game 1 I couldn't really do much about because his monk just destroyed my battle mage, and I wasn't too tilted after that, and I came back and I gained my momentum and I flipped the series from 1-0 to a 3-1 win. And you could see Frenzy's fatigue by the turn 7 play where he shadow shifted and played cultist and then ran out of time to play Manor, and that ultimately probably decided the game. I think the game would have been much closer, but I was pretty close to lethal and he had no stabilization tools, so I think I was pretty favored anyways because of the coin skulk, which allowed me to snowball the early game. And then there's tilt. Frenzy is played after that turn 7 because he was probably tilted and he was feeling there was so much pressure on him since he was 2-1 down and he must win 2 games. And the last thing is slow play. So there's many turns where it took a long time, and that just happens in tournaments because on ladder you want to be as efficient as possible, you concede as fast as possible, you play your turns as fast as possible, so you can climb ladder efficiently. You rather have more games with a lower win rate than less games with a higher win rate, because that's just more efficient in climbing ladder. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something new about tournaments. Hopefully tournaments will come back relatively soon, and yeah, I'll see you guys around.